Hello, welcome back to another episode. In order to manage containers, you need containers. And as we all know, containers are formed by using images. Sometimes we cannot specify everything within an image. ConfigMaps allows us to decouple the configuration details from the container image. Using ConfigMaps, we pass configuration data as key value pairs, which are consumed by pods or any other system components and controllers. They can use these key value pairs in form of environment variables, set of commands, arguments, or volumes. We can create config maps from literal values, from configuration files, from one or more files or directories. A config map can be created with the kubectl create command, like kubectl create config map, and followed by the rest of the necessary arguments to form the configuration map. With the -o YAML option, we can request the kubectl command to split the output in the YAML format. The name of config map and other details are part of the metadata field within the YAML file. All right. Okay, so let's see. We can create a config map from a configuration file where we specify kind, metadata, and data fields targeting the v1 endpoint of the API server. We can use the kubectl create -f followed by the YAML configuration file for the config map to create a config map from a configuration file. We can also create a config map from a file. So we need to create a file, and after we create that, we can then create config maps with kubectl create config map followed by permission config from option and the path to the file, right? So let's talk about using these config maps inside the pods. The first way we can do them is by using config maps as environment variables. Inside a container, we can retrieve the key value data of an entire config map or values of specific config map keys as environment variables. The second way is by using them as volumes. We can mount a config map as a volume inside a pod. For each key in the config map, a file gets created in the mount path, and the content of the file becomes the respective key's value. So this was a small episode on config maps. As always, if you have some questions or feedback, or you just want to say hi, you can reach out to me by writing to me at kubernetes@cent.com. See you in the next episode. Thanks.